Howdy there. A few nights ago, I saw Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was quality popcorn entertainment. I have no problem giving it a 7. Good blockbuster time. I didn't really just want to see it. The trailers never really piqued my interest. I enjoyed the first one. I saw the first one in the theater. I have not seen it since. I never saw it a second time at home. And I also gave the first one a 7. So I think this is just as good as the first. So I was a little worried that maybe I wouldn't remember the story so well. I don't think that's the case. Here you see a couple characters from the first film, but only briefly. They don't really make reference to the story from the first film, as far as I can remember. I just never wanted to go see it, but I had a couple people who I trust tell me that it was a fun time. And plus, mainly, I went because it's making so much damn money. It's been in the top 5 ever since it came out, which was mid-November. So here it is, 2 months later, and it has not left the top 5. So it's just making money hand over fist. And I was kind of wanting to get in on that. I wanted to know what all the hoopla was about. So now I know. Let's see, it's about Sherlock Holmes, the world's greatest detective, trying to crack a conspiracy, solve a mystery of, I guess, what would be the beginning of World War I? Or World War II? I'm not too certain. Anyway, a world war. Brought on by his soon-to-be arch-nemesis, Dr. James Moriarty. I was kind of nervous about... First of all, I thought Moriarty would be in the first movie. I thought Moriarty... I figured at first, as always, they're going to do a trilogy, because that's the big thing now. Just do a trilogy, if not more, of films. And so I thought the entire trilogy would be about Moriarty and him trying to take down Moriarty. But Moriarty was not in the first one, so I was like, oh, okay. And I really hope Moriarty is in the third one. It does have an open ending. It's definitely ready for a sequel, and with all the money that it's made, I am sure that it will get a sequel. But Moriarty is Sherlock Holmes' antithesis. He's his mortal enemy. He's his arch nemesis. And, if you're... I won't spoil even the novels, but if you're familiar with the story, you know what happens to Sherlock Holmes and James Moriarty. They are so great. They are so, invincible between, from other people. They are the only thing that each other have. They are Batman and the Joker. And their story ends in a classic way. In the novels, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, I believe, their relationship is one for the history books. Now, whether they did that kind of here, but I just don't want Moriarty to be gone, because I don't think there could be a Sherlock Holmes without Moriarty. So anyway, that it's basically Sherlock Holmes trying to save the world from the machinations of Moriarty. Stars Robert Downey Jr., Jude Law, Rachel McAdams is in there for briefly from the first film, as is Eddie Marsden. Eddie Marsden's brilliant. He's, I mean, just like barely a cameo in this. I think he has one line. Who else is in there? Did I say Jude Law? I can't remember the name of the guy who plays Moriarty. He's a character actor. He's been around for a while. Probably most notably, he's on Mad Men, AMC's Mad Men. He plays the Brit who comes over. But he's in so much, and I just can't remember what he's in. There's some more faces in there that I wish I could recall now. Sherlock Holmes' brother, who is a really good character in the movie. Played by a very familiar British character actor. I can't think of his name right now. Anywho, lots of familiar faces. All the acting's very good. In fact, the acting's the best part. The chemistry between Jude Law and Robert Downey Jr. is right there. You know, it's bankable, obviously. It carries the film. You know, Robert Downey Jr. is fantastic. I've kind of always loved Robert Downey Jr., at least since probably I was a freshman in college when I saw Two Girls and a Guy. And yeah, I haven't seen that movie in a long time, probably since I was a freshman in college, but I love that movie, watched it multiple times in my dorm room, and I kind of fell in love with Robert Downey Jr. I was like, wow, he's a tremendous actor. Even though, you know, when I was a kid, one of my very favorite movies was Weird Science, and he was in Weird Science. He was also in, you know, what other John Hughes film was he in? No, that was Charlie Sheen. Anyway, he's been around forever. He's practically a teenage star. I don't know if I want to call him a child star. But he's been around for a long time, and he does quality work, and, you know, he carries the picture here, along, again, with Jude Law. I mean, like, I talked with my mom, and my mom really wanted me to see this movie, and she's like, oh, Jude Law is so good, you know. Dr. Watson is the best character. And I've heard other people say that Watson really nailed it. Directed by Guy Ritchie, who did the first one. Guy Ritchie's done a lot. You know, what'd he do? Snatch, he did Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. He's also done some bad stuff. You know, he was married to Madonna for a while, and he had to do the Madonna movie, Swept Away, which is too bad for him. Oddly enough, I don't know if I believe it, but he might indeed be Banksy. You know, if you believe that story. There seems to be a lot of evidence pointing towards the fact that Guy Ritchie is Banksy, though I am not a believer of that. Anyway, Guy Ritchie directed. I can't tell you who wrote it. I think I remember like 3 names, maybe, writing it. Anyway, the story was fine, you know, believable. For, you know, the end of the world type scenarios. You know, not too outlandish. Again, this is a period piece set in, you know, sometime, I don't know, the 1800s. And, you know, so it's believable. And doesn't, you know, like invent super technologies to, you know, for the villain to have. It just is about manipulation and warmongering. My beefs with the film, why I'm not giving it a higher rating than 7, is one, I thought it was very flat in terms of color. Nothing ever really popped off the screen. And, I mean, maybe it is much like the first one, but there's just lots of blues, lots of grays, lots of dark. And there never really seemed to be, like, any shift, and I wanted some variation. It just seemed to be very dirty, very grimy, very dark, and I don't know. It for me, it sometimes just didn't fit the story. Let's have some, different colors here every now and again. Don't make it, if you want to keep it with your theme or whatever you were going for there, then that's fine. But just give us a break here and there, It was just it wasn't pretty, It wasn't pretty, and maybe that's supposed to be a reflection of, the time. It wasn't a very pretty time. Everything back in the 1800s was probably dirty and grimy, and gray. And of course, this is, England, and they're known for their gray skies. So again, that's, just personal. I could obviously explain it away with art, but again, I just needed some more variation. And my second big thing is that there were times, and I don't know what element to point the finger at. I don't know if it's editing. I don't know if it takes place in the writer's room. But, okay, it's one of those situations, and I'll make reference to The Simpsons here. It's one of those situations where you start a conversation. You start a conversation, and then you have the very last part of that conversation, like the punchline, if you will. Like, in what must have been much later. They would start a conversation, and then they would edit, the scene would cut, and they would be in another place that would have to have taken some time to get to, and then they're finishing the conversation. So, like, I'm reminded by The Simpsons, it's like they start a conversation and then they finish it, after the commercial break. And Bart says, why were we silent for 2.5 minutes? Why did you wait 2.5 minutes to finish your story? Or the character stopping the conversation so that they can drive to another place to finish the conversation. It's like, why did you stop talking? And he's like, there is no talking. I have to finish the story at the location. There can only be silence. So it's like, if it's a joke, then it's kind of funny. But if it's, a dramatic action movie, then it just kind of like, again, I just went, what? Why? Huh? There were a few times when I just didn't know what was going on. And sometimes during the action set pieces, the physics didn't make sense to me. I wasn't sure where people were or what was happening. I thought the action was, confusing. And I was like, there was one scene like on a train where they're fighting a Gatling gun, I guess, and I had no idea where that Gatling gun was, but boy, they seem to be blowing the hell out of half the train. But again, a lot of the physics, a lot of the physical action set pieces just kind of left me in the dust. And again, the conversations that had to have stopped for a while and then picked up again, when they got to their destination, so the punchline would make sense, or whatever. Those are my big beasts, but again, I had a fun time, a 7's a good time. Quality entertainment. It was over 2 hours. I think it was like 2 hours and 10 minutes, and it went right on by pretty quickly, so that says something. Overall enjoyable watch. I'll give it a thumbs up. I'll recommend it. Definitely see it on the big screen. I don't think you should wait for the small screen. So if you're fans of the first one, you'll be fans of the second one. I thought it was just as good. I'm definitely not moved to see it again. Maybe a little bit more than the first one. So, that's it. I'm running out of time. I got to wrap up. Good watch. Quality popcorn entertainment is Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows is a solid 7. Thank you very much.